Hello, welcome to another video of Code Snippet, and in this video we are going to look into Java Streams coding interview questions, and this time the level is going to be hard one. So in the past few videos we have seen super easy, intermediate questions, and in this video we are going to level up and see hard level interview questions on Java Streams. So let's get started without wasting any time. This is going to be a fun video, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Alright, so let's quickly jump into the agenda of this particular video. So Java Stream coding interview questions, and this time the level is going to be hard one. Before that we have also seen intermediate level questions, part 1 and part 2. Before that we have seen easy level questions, and even before that we have seen super easy stuff as well. So you can go ahead and check out the entire playlist, and it is recommended to go ahead and watch all those videos. And in this video we are going to go through these 5 questions. So that is basically the overall agenda. And the first one is find most common first letter among all employee names, right? If you see over here, we have a list of employees, right? And we have multiple employees with different names. And we want to find most common first letter, right? So if you see over here, we have multiple employees. And if you see, we have 2 employees starting with A. So here A is most common first letter basically, right? So A should be our output, plain output in this case. And we need to solve this by using streams. So now first of all, what we need a stream of first letters only over here, right? If we can create a stream of first letter, what we can do? We can go ahead and count them. We can go ahead and group and count them, right? So what I can do, I can just say employees.stream. And here now this is a stream of employees. Now what do I want? I want the stream of first letter of all the names. So what I will do, I'll just go ahead and make use of map function over here. Here what we can do for each employee, what do we want? We want employee dot get name, right? And that also we want character at index 0. That means the first letter basically. So I'm just going to say characters at index 0. That means now this map function will give me a stream of only first letters of names. And now I can just go ahead and collect it. Now if you see, this was the stream of employee. But now we converted that stream to stream of characters. And each stream will now contain the first letter of names. And here I can just go ahead and make use of collectors dot grouping by. And here I can just go ahead and say function dot identity. And I can just say collectors dot counting. And just by using this, what we will get a map. And now if I try to print that map, let's see what is the output. Now here if you see, we are getting the frequency of each word. And here what do we want to do? We just want to find the maximum of these. The maximum basically, and our job is done. Now again, what did we do? We just converted this employees to streams. So it gave a stream of employees. After that we made use of map function to map this stream of employees to stream of characters. After that we just made use of grouping by function and got the count of each letter inside this particular stream. So this we have used multiple times, right? It's just the repetition of stuff. Here one more step we are doing is using a map function to map your stream of employees to stream of characters. But our job is not yet done. Now what do we want to do? We want to find the maximum of these, right? How we can do that? We have done that as well multiple times. So now we have maps. We'll say map.entrySet.stream to convert this guy to a stream. And now here I can just go ahead and say max. That means I just want to find the maximum. And here I can just say map.entry. And entry had a method to compare, right? So comparing by value, because I want to compare by value and find the one with maximum value. Now I can just say alt enter, collect it into a variable saying let's say map. And let's try to print max over here. Max, not map. Now if I run this code, you will see that we are getting the maximum one, right? Simple stuff basically. And again, we can just go ahead and merge these two so that we don't really have to write 2 separate pipelines. I can just go ahead and do this and collect it into a respective variable to return as the optional element. Let me just remove this. And now if I run this code, you will see that we will get the similar type of output. There we go. So this one is pretty similar to what we have done before as well, just that this is one step that we want to take care of over here, and that makes this problem one level up than the intermediate that we have already seen multiple times, right? So that is basically your first question. It is a simple stuff basically once you know how to do this, right? So that is basically the first one. So we have seen the first one. All right, so let's proceed to next one. And the next one is, given a list of integers, compute the average of every 3 element sliding window, right? So this is going to be interesting now. So if I go back over here, then you will see that we have this list of integer, right? We have all these elements. Now what do we want to do? We want to find the average. Average of what? Every 3 element sliding window, right? That means I want the average of these 3 elements. I want the average of another these 3 elements. I want the average of these 3 elements as well. And I want the average of these 3 elements. Now, if we proceed, we don't have 3 elements, so we stop over there. So our output should look something like this. So if I go back over here to canvas, then first we want to find the average of these 3, right? These 3 letters over here. After that, we want to find the average of these 3, and in the similar way we want to proceed with these 3, and lastly we want to proceed with the last 3 over here. That is something we are looking for, and this is something we want to find by using streams, right? So now this is going to be interesting. Now if you see over here, what do we want to do? Let's say we are proceeding by using index, right? Let's say we are at index 0 now. So for index 0, what do we want to do? We want to find the sum of next 2 element including this one and divide it by 3, right? Because the sliding window size over here is 3. So what I can do, I can just start with my first index. I can take next 2 elements, and what I can do, I can just average them out and print the size. Let's say the output over here will be 9. Now I can just proceed to the next index and do the same for this one as well. And this time the output is going to be 13, right? Now I can just keep going over here. Next time I will get output as 18. And when I proceed to next index, I will get output as, let's say, 27 over here. Now this is simple stuff, right? But we should know when to stop over here. When to stop is an important thing. Now this particular index that we are traversing, we should traverse it only until your size of this list minus 2. Right? Because let's say you have size of n, right? Here n is basically how much? 6. Now 6 minus 2 is basically your 4. So that your fourth element have another 2 element to sum up. If you go ahead and move to second last index, then this particular index will not have 3 elements to average out. That's why when you traverse, you should traverse up to the index n minus 2. That is size of your array minus 2, so that your last index will have 2 more elements to average out, because we want to find the average of 3 elements. So it is basically n minus 2, where n is size of your integer array or integer list. And if you want to find the average of, let's say, sliding window s, then it should be s minus 1. So if you see over here, s minus 1. That means you want to find the average of, let's say, sliding window 4. Then what will you do in this case? You will say n minus 3. So n over here is basically 6, which is basically a size of your list. And s is basically, let's say, sliding window 4. Now in this case we had 2, so we are doing n minus 2. But let's say we have 4, so sliding window is 4. In that case you will find the average of 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now here 4 minus 1 will be 3, and your n is 6. So your last index will become this particular index, which is 15. So that 15 will have more 3 elements to find the average of. Like that you will have to go, right? Simple stuff basically. Now if you go back over here, how we are going to implement this? By using a stream. So here, in order to traverse, I can make use of stream. So in order to traverse this particular list, I can just simply go ahead and make use of stream. So I can just say enter stream dot range, right? So enter stream have range method, and this will help us to traverse by using a start inclusive index and end inclusive index. That means, let's say I just want to start with 0 and I want to go up to, let's say, input dot size, not stream, I'll say size minus 2, because the size of window is 3 and 3 minus 1 is basically 2. So we are going up to that index. Now here I can just go ahead and say map to object. That means I just want to return the object out of this. And now here the real game begins. Now here what do we want? For each index I, let's say, now here we have indexes, right? So for each index I, what do we want? We want to find the average of that index plus next to index, right? So I can just say input dot get, so we get the index at I, so that particular index, plus input dot get, we will say I plus 1, plus we want another one, right? So we'll just say input dot get I plus 2. So that is something we want. At the end we just want to divide it by using 3, right? So we'll just say divide by 3, and at the end we will just say to list over here, and our job over here is done. I can just say alt enter, let's collect it into a variable, and let's try to print this list. And now if I run this code, then you will see we are getting the respective output. Simple stuff basically. Now we have found the respective output, right? But how do we make it generic for window size, right? So let's say we have window size given. Let's say we have integer window, and the size of window is, let's say, 3 in this case, right? Now what I can do here in this case, I can just say windows minus 1, I can just say window minus 1, and here while dividing I will just say window. And now if I run this code, it should give me the similar output basically. Now if I go ahead and make 4 over here, then let's see what happens. If you see over here, we are getting this output. But is this a correct output? What it is doing, it is just summing up these 3 and dividing it by 4. Rather it should sum of these 4 and divide it by 4, right? And what do we need to do? We need to add plus 1 over here. We need to add another input, and let's say index plus 2. So if I do like this, so if I say input dot get, here if I say I plus 3, then probably we'll get the correct output. So if I run this code now, then we are getting this output basically. Perhaps I will just go ahead and make it double, so we'll just get double values over here. Now if I run this code, you will get the respective output, right? So pretty straightforward basically if I do that. But I don't really want to do this. I just want a generic approach. I want a generic approach. If I change this particular window size to anything, it should go ahead and work, right? So how we can do that? So let's try to change this particular logic in that direction. So what I can do over here, let me just remove this. And here in the map to object, I can just go ahead and make use of something called as sublist. So there is a function called as sublist, which takes indexes. So from index to index. So let's say we want a sublist from I to I plus window size over here. So for each element I inside this particular list, what do we want? We want to take sublist from I to I plus 1. So I'll just go ahead and cast it to integer, or rather we can keep this to integer in this case. Let me just go ahead and remove this. So if you see over here what we are doing, we have converted this window to integer, and now what I'm doing, I'm just saying int stream.range from 0 to input size minus window minus 1, as we have seen over here, right? N minus s minus 1, right? That is something we are doing. And now we are doing map to int. Let's remove this one as well for time being. Let's keep it simple. So I'm doing map to object. So for each index I inside this range, I want a sublist from this input. So I to I plus window. So I'll get the entire sublist. So for first one, for index equals to 0, I'll get I plus window, right? So I to I plus window. Now window is 4 over here. So 0 plus 4. So I'll get this particular window basically. So we are trying to make it generic now. Now once I get the sublist, now I'm getting the sublist, right? So now if I just go ahead and say to list, let's try to print it to visualize what we are getting. Let's try to print it. So now if I print it, let me just quickly run this code. You will say we will get the sublist. So this is first 4 sublist, this is second 4th, and this is third 4, right? That's what we are getting out of this. Now once we get the sublist, what do we want to do? We want to average it out. So again, we can just go ahead and make use of map function, and here we will get window now. So for each window, what do we want to do? We will just say window dot stream. So we have a nested stream now. So we are saying window dot stream, And here now what we will do, first of all, we will make use of map to int to convert this stream to stream of integer so that we can go ahead and make use of average function over here. If you remember, we can make use of map to int and it will give us int stream, and on int stream we can directly apply average function. So I can just go ahead and say integer dot int value on which I can apply average function. So if you see over here, this is a stream of integer, isn't it? So for each window we are creating a stream of this. So for this window we will have a stream. Now this particular stream of integer we are converting to int stream by using map to int, and we are making use of average function to average it out. And here I will just go ahead and say or else return 0, right? Return 0 over here. At the end we will just go ahead and say dot to list. And here it says window is already defined, so instead of making use of window, let's try to refactor this and let's just say w for window, and let's collect it into a variable. Let me just remove this, just collect it into a variable saying list, and let's try to print this list over here and let's try to run it. Now if you see, we are getting the respective output. Now no matter what I change this list to, we should get the respective correct output over here. Let's say if I change this to 2, we should get the respective output again. So there we go. If I convert it back to 3, we will get the respective output, right? 9, 13, 18, 27. So that is how you can make it generic. So just to have a quick recap, we can just say int stream dot range. Here we can run this index from 0 to input dot size minus window minus 1, right? This particular formula that we have seen in the beginning. After that, we can just say map to object and find the sublist from 0 to the window size, right? After that, we can just go ahead and make use of a nested stream. So for each window, we are making use of stream. So we got the stream of integer, we converted it to a int stream, and we have made use of average function on int stream because int stream gives us this particular functionality, right? This particular functions. And or else we have written 0, and at the end to our parent stream we just did to list so that we collect it into a list, and at the end we just printed the output, right? Simple stuff basically. That is how you can simply go ahead and solve this problem. So we have seen the second one as well. So we have multiple cases and interviewer can ask you many things over here. So that makes this question hard one. Alright, so let's proceed to the next one, and next one is find the longest word in a sentence ignoring the case and punctuations. So if I go back over here, I have a sentence over here. So let me just zoom it a bit. So here we have a sentence and we want to find the longest word inside this particular sentence. So let's say this is the longest one as I see. So we want this output basically. So first of all, what do we want to do? We want to convert this particular sentence to a list of words, right? So list of each word. And we want to remove this stuff as well, these punctuation marks and stuff, right? Commas and all these things. So what do we have to do? We have to make use of regular expressions to remove this. And we will have to split by using these spaces and convert this particular sentence to list of words, right? And how we can do that? We can do that by using arrays.stream. And arrays.stream of what? Arrays.stream of sentence. And what do we need to do? We can just go ahead and convert it to lowercase first. After that, we can just go ahead and split it by using, let's say, spaces over here, right? So once we do that and collect it into a, let's say, a variable stream, and in order to print it, we just need to make use of for each over here. And I will just say system dot out and colon print ln. This should print the items for us. Let's try to print it. If you see over here, we are getting all these things. But if you observe over here, we are getting the special characters as well. So we want to filter them. How we can filter them? Just use a filter method, or we need to make use of a regular expression over here. So I can just say replace all. We can just have a regular expression regex for removing your special characters. This is basically the regular expression to remove that, and the replacement is going to be your normal string. Now if I try to run this code, our special characters should be removed. Simple stuff basically. So they are removed basically. Now we are getting the stream of each word. And now what do we want to do? We want to find the longest among them. So now what do we need to do? We need to find the maximum among them based on the length of that particular string. So we can just make use of comparator.comparing, and here we can just pass string dot length, and here I can just say or else return a empty string, and that's it. Let's try to collect it into a variable. Let's try to print that. I'll say s out, and now if I run this code, you will see that we are getting the one with the maximum length, right? Simple stuff basically. So we made use of max function, and here we are just passing the comparator to compare by using length. The main highlight over here is this particular stuff over here, where we make use of arrays.stream. We say sentence.lowercase.split, and if you want to remove the special characters, you need to do like this by using this regular expression. And after that, this is something which we have already seen in our last videos. You can just make use of max function and give it a comparator by using length. You can just find the maximum length and just print that out, right? Simple stuff. But this part over here is basically something that puts this question in a hard category. So we have seen this one as well. Alright, so the next one is find top 3 most frequent words in a paragraph. So if you go over here, then we have this particular paragraph. Let's say we have a lot of strings over here. Now here what do we want? We want to find top 3 most frequent words. So let's say here Java is repeating, let's say 1, 2, 3 and 4 times. So this is basically the first one. Then we have second one, then we have third one, whatever, right? So that is something we want to find. First of all, what do we want to do? We can just go ahead, make use of group by and find the count of each word over here, right? Before that, what do we have to do? We have to replace this stuff, special characters, basically as we did in the last example. So we can just go ahead and copy this stuff over here, which will do the same job for us. Instead of sentence, I'll just go ahead and say paragraph. And now if I try to collect it into a stream and say stream dot for each, let's say system dot out dot println, and if I try to run this code, then you will see that we are getting all the words basically. Now how we can find the count of each word, right? We can find it by using collectors dot grouping by. So I can just go ahead and say collect, inside which I will just make use of collectors dot grouping by. Here we will say function dot identity, because we want to find the count of the same element, which is basically a key. And here we will just say collectors dot counting. Here we will say collectors dot counting, and let's try to collect it into a variable now. So let's say map, and let's try to print this map. Now if I run this code, you will see that we are getting count of each word inside this particular list. Now what do we want to do? We want to find the top 3, simple stuff, right? Now what I can do, I can just say map dot, let's say entry set dot stream. We need to sort in descending order based on your value. So what we can do, we can just say map dot entry. We can just say map dot entry dot, here we can just say comparing by value. Now this will compare it in ascending order. What do we want? We want to do it in reversed order. And here we just need to go ahead and pass the type of it. So it will be string comma long, right? String is basically the key and long is basically the value. So that is basically how you can simply sort it. Now once we do that, we can just go ahead and limit it to 3, and let's say to list over here, and let's try to collect it into a variable, and let's try to print it. Here I will just say list. Print this list now and quickly run this. Let's see what happens. So we are getting the respective output. So we are getting the first 3 basically. So that is how you can simply solve this problem. Now here if you see, we have one entry for powerful, but we have these other entries which also have size 1. So why to print powerful and why not to print all the other guys? So if interviewer is going ahead and asking you this question, so it is basically the enhancement on top of that. How we can solve this now? So we want to print duplicates as well, let's say. What you need to do, you need to first go ahead and find how many unique count we have. Let's say we have 4, 3 and 1 over here, right? So we want to find the unique count. What we can do over here, let's try to implement that. What I can do, once we sort it, I can just collect it into a list. Say, let's say sorted. This is basically my sorted list now, right? Without limiting, right? So now what I want to find the distinct counts. Let's say 4, 3, 1 like that, right? What I will do now, I can just say sorted dot stream. I can make use of map function to get the values. I can just go ahead and say map dot entry dot get value, because if you see over here inside this list we have this map, right? We are saying map dot entry dot get value over here dot get value. Let me just say get value over here, and for each value what do we want? We want to get the distinct values. Basically among these we want to limit only 3, and here I can just collect it into a list, and here I can just say top frequencies. That means we will get the top 3 frequencies over here. So if I try to print it, top 3 frequencies, let's try to run it and let's see what do we have. If you see over here, element with count 4, element with count 3 and element with count 1 are my top frequencies basically. And now we just want to print them. So how we can print them now? Again, we can just say sorted. That means our this sorted list dot stream, and here I can just make use of a filter. So for each element E, if your top frequencies contain E dot get value. So for each element E inside this particular sorted list, let me try to print this sorted list as well so that we can visualize what is going on over here. Let me just remove this for time being and let's try to run it. If you see over here, this is basically our sorted list. Let me try to bring the code again. This is basically the sorted list, right? For each element E, so this is basically the element. If top frequency, this is basically the top frequency, contains E dot get value, that is 4. That means if this list contains 4, what do I want to do? I want to pass it. Again, next one will be 3. So if this list contains 3, we want to pass it. So at the end, we'll just go ahead and collect it into a list. So I'll just set to list. And now if I try to collect it into variable, and let's try to print this last list and let's try to run it, then you will see that we are getting the respective output. So all 4, 3 and 1 is also present there, right? So now let's say if we have something which has occurrence of, let's say 2, so let me try to add one more grade over here and try to run this code, then you will see that we are getting Java is and grade. Let's say we have one more is over here, then we should get, so is basically 4 now, so we are getting 2 4s, 1 2 and we are getting 1 as well, which is again a fair output, right? That makes it dynamic and that makes it covering all the edge cases as well. That is how you can solve this problem. There are multiple stuff basically, but easy stuff. That is basically something advanced stuff which interviewer can go ahead and ask you. So we have seen this one as well. Now the last one is reverse each word in sentence using streams. If I go back over here, then you will see that let's say we have this sentence. Now we want to reverse each word by using streams. So this word will be reversed, this word will be reversed. Each word will be reversed basically. Now how we can do that? Now this one seems difficult, but we can easily achieve. So here we can just say arrays.stream, we can just say sentence.split. So let's split it by using spaces over here. And here we can just make use of a map function. Here we can just say for each word, what do we want to do? We want to remove it. So we can just make use of new string builder of each word. And we can just easily make use of reverse method on the string builder. And here we can just say toString. And now if I collect it, let's say we can just collect it by using collectors dot joining, and let's join it by using what? We can join it by using, let's say, comma, and let's try to collect it into a variable. And if I try to print this particular variable and try to run this code, you will see that we are getting the respective output. If you don't want a delimiter, just don't give a delimiter over here and try to run this, or we can just go ahead and give a space so that we match this particular output. and we will get the respective output basically. That is how you can simply solve this problem by using string builder reverse method. But let's say interviewer is asking you to not make use of any internal methods like this reverse. Then how we can do that? Then what you can do, instead of doing all this, you can make use of reduced method. So here, what do we need to do? We need to make use of a nested streams. So here we can just say arrays dot stream again, and we will create a stream of this word now. So we'll just say word dot split, and let's split it by using each letter, right? So once we have this list now, internal stream, what you can do, you can make use of a reduce method. And reduce method accumulator, we can start with nothing, let's say empty stuff. Now for each accumulator, let's say reversed and your character, the respective character, let's say ch over here, what do we want? We want to append reverse to character, right? So we'll say character plus reverse, right? So for example, let's say we have Java, right? So initially your identity will be nothing and your character will be J, right? So it will be J plus reverse. So reverse is nothing basically. But now J is assigned to your reversed. So next time reverse will be J and next character will be A. So it will be A plus J now. So the character will be like AJ. Now your reverse is AJ. And the next character is the third character in Java, basically V, right? So it will be like V plus reverse. So V will be appended, and like that your character will keep on appending in the front. So it will give you something like this. And at the end we are just joining it. And now if I try to run this, wait, something is wrong. So I'm using multiple streams over here. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. We don't really need multiple streams over here. And there is one extra bracket as well. So now if I run this, you will see that we are getting the respective output. So it is basically nested arrays. First array is doing outer stuff, inner array is doing inner stuff basically. So arrays.stream, it is splitting your word. So each word, this outer array is splitting your entire sentence. This inner array is splitting your single word, JAVA, like that. And we are reducing it and reversing it like this. So if the interviewer is asking you to reverse it without using string builder, then you can do something like this and reverse it. Simple stuff basically, right? So now if I go back, we have seen this one as well. And that is basically the end of our 5 questions in hard level. So there are multiple new things that we have seen in this particular video. So that is basically it for this particular video. If you think that you have better solutions in any of these questions, let me know in the comment section so that other people are also aware of it and they will also benefit from your knowledge as well. And if you like the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Code Snippet. Share this video with your friends so that they also have idea about Java Stream coding interview questions. That's it for this video. See you in the next video.